Professor Aldrin adjusted his three-fingered hands on the podium, his fur rippling in soft waves as he spoke to the classroom full of young aliens. The Galactic Academy's xenobiology course had students from 47 different worlds, each one stranger than the last. There were the Tavarians with their long ears and nervous twitches, the Silicates whose bodies sparkled like living crystals, and the Gorthians who breathed methane through tubes attached to their desks. Ryan Webb sat in the third row, scribbling notes on his tablet. He had been at the Academy for 3 months now, ever since Earth joined the galactic community. Back home, everyone thought he was crazy for volunteering to study light years away from his family. But Ryan loved learning about alien life. Every species had something fascinating about them, from how they communicated to what they ate. His roommate Pip sat beside him, the small rabbit-like alien bouncing slightly in his seat. Pip was always nervous about something. Today he kept glancing at the door as if expecting trouble. "You okay?" Ryan whispered. "Fine, fine," Pip squeaked, his large eyes darting around. "Just heard rumors." Before Ryan could ask what rumors, the door to the classroom slid open. But instead of another student, 2 station security guards stepped inside. They wore full armor and carried plasma rifles. Their faces looked pale, even through their helmets. Professor Aldrin stopped mid-sentence. His ears flattened against his head, a sign of fear in Quellan species. "What is the meaning of this?" "Emergency protocol, Professor," one guard said, his voice shaking. "We have a situation. A Krillian ship docked 20 minutes ago. The pilot demanded entry to the Academy under galactic education law." The classroom erupted in panic. Students jumped from their seats. Nora, the silicate, made a sound like breaking glass. Pip grabbed Ryan's arm so hard it hurt. "A Krillian?" Professor Aldrin's voice went up several octaves. "Here, on this station?" Ryan looked around, confused. He had heard the name before but did not understand why everyone looked so terrified. "What's a Krillian?" he asked Pip. Pip stared at him like he had grown a second head. "You don't know? They're monsters. They're the apex predators of the galaxy. They've destroyed entire civilizations. They hunt for sport. The individual has been granted temporary sanctuary," the guard continued. "The Council had no choice. Galactic law is clear. Any sentient being seeking education must be given immunity and access to classes." "Which classes?" Professor Aldrin asked weakly. "This one, sir. Advanced Xenobiology." The professor looked like he might faint. Several students were already crying. 2 Gorthians disconnected their breathing tubes and fled through the back exit. The guard stepped aside from the doorway and something massive entered the room. Drath was over 8 feet tall. His exoskeleton was dark gray and covered in natural armor plates. His arms ended in claws that looked sharp enough to cut through metal. His head was angular with 4 eyes that glowed a deep red. When he moved, his body made clicking sounds like a giant insect. He carried no weapons, but he did not need any. His entire body was a weapon. The classroom went silent except for the sound of Pip whimpering. Ryan watched as the Krillian scanned the room with those glowing eyes. Every student the creature looked at shrank back or hid behind their desks. Even the guards by the door took a step backward. Drath's voice was deep and rough like gravel scraping metal. "I am Commander Drath. I claim student sanctuary under Article 7 of the Galactic Education Charter. I seek knowledge, not conflict." Professor Aldrin nodded so fast his whole body shook. "Yes, of course. Please take any seat you wish." Drath walked down the aisle. Students scrambled away from him. Pip actually fainted, slumping forward onto his desk. The silicate student tried to make herself smaller, which for a crystalline being meant refracting light to become nearly invisible. A Gorthian in the back row made a sound that his translator rendered as, "We're all going to die." Ryan watched this all happen with growing confusion. Sure, Drath looked intimidating, but everyone was acting like he was about to murder them. The Krillian walked past Ryan's row and their eyes met for a brief moment. Ryan nodded politely the way he would to any new student, then went back to his notes. Drath paused. His head tilted slightly, studying Ryan. Then he continued to the back of the room and sat in a reinforced chair designed for larger species. "Right," Professor Aldrin said, his voice barely steady. "Let us continue with today's lesson." We were discussing predator-prey relationships across different ecosystems. The professor pulled up a holographic display. It showed various alien worlds and their food chains. He talked about ambush predators, pack hunters, and pursuit predators. His voice gradually grew steadier as he fell into the familiar rhythm of teaching. Now for comparison, let me show you some examples from newer member worlds, the professor said. This is Earth, home to our student Ryan Webb. Ryan perked up. He always enjoyed when Earth was mentioned in class. Most aliens found his planet fascinating in a horrifying sort of way. The hologram shifted to show Earth's oceans. A great white shark burst from the water, catching a seal. Students gasped. Then it showed African lions taking down a buffalo. More gasps. A polar bear hunting on ice. A crocodile erupting from a river. Earth is what we classify as a death world, Professor Aldrin explained. The gravity is higher than most civilized planets. The weather is violently unpredictable. The native life forms are predominantly predatory in nature. Ryan felt a bit embarrassed. Earth did seem harsh compared to most other worlds he had learned about. Many species came from gentle planets with mild weather and herbivorous wildlife. The hologram changed again. This time it showed human persistence hunting. An ancient human ran after an antelope across a desert. The antelope was faster, but the human just kept coming, hour after hour under the brutal sun. Eventually, the antelope collapsed from exhaustion, and the human approached it calmly. Humans are unique, the professor continued. They are persistence predators. They do not need to be the fastest or strongest. They simply do not stop. Their endurance is unmatched in the known galaxy. They can run for days without rest. They regulate temperature through water secretion, allowing them to function in extreme heat where prey animals would die. The classroom was quiet now, but it was a different kind of quiet. Students stared at Ryan with new eyes. He shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Additionally, Professor Aldrin said, humans are adaptable. They live in frozen wastelands, burning deserts, high mountains, and deep underwater. They consume a wider range of foods than almost any species. They heal remarkably fast from injuries. Their pain tolerance is exceptional. They are classified as Category 7 deathworlders. Nora raised one crystalline appendage. Professor, you said Category 7. What does that mean? Professor Aldrin hesitated. It means that in terms of survival capability and predatory potential, humans rank among the highest designations. The scale only goes to 10, and 9 and 10 are reserved for species that exist purely to hunt. Ryan felt dozens of eyes on him. He had never thought of himself as particularly dangerous. He was just a student who liked biology. In the back of the classroom, Ryan heard a sound. It was subtle but distinctive, the clicking of Krillian exoskeleton plates shifting. He glanced back and saw something unexpected. Drath had moved his chair. Just slightly but noticeably. He was sitting farther from Ryan's row than he had been a few minutes ago. And those glowing red eyes were fixed on Ryan with what could only be described as caution. Ryan turned back to the lecture, completely unaware that he had just done something remarkable. The galaxy's most feared predator had assessed him as a threat and responded with the universal language of survival. Keep your distance from things that can kill you. 3 days passed since Drath first entered the classroom. The Krillian attended every lecture, took notes on a specially designed tablet, and never spoke unless Professor Aldrin asked him a direct question. Most students still kept their distance, but the initial panic had faded into nervous acceptance. Ryan noticed something odd, though. Whenever he arrived at class, Drath would shift his position. If Ryan sat in the third row, Drath would move to the opposite corner. If Ryan came in early and took a back seat, Drath would suddenly prefer the front. It was like watching an elaborate dance where one partner always maintained maximum distance from the other. Pip had recovered from his fainting spell and now considered himself an expert on the situation. "He's stalking you," the Tavarian said one afternoon as they walked through the station's garden habitat. "Krillians always study their prey before attacking." Ryan laughed. "He's not going to attack me. We're in school. You don't understand how dangerous he is." Pip's long ears twitched nervously. Krillians conquered 12 star systems. They enslaved 6 different species. Their warrior caste never loses in combat. The Gorthian Empire sent an entire battle fleet against one Krillian ship and lost. One ship, Ryan. One. Then why is he here studying biology instead of conquering things? Pip had no answer for that. The dining hall incident happened on Thursday. Ryan had grabbed lunch from the cafeteria line and was scanning for a place to sit. Most tables were full, but he spotted an empty seat across from Drath. The Krillian sat alone at a table designed for large species, picking at a bowl of something that looked like purple grain. Ryan walked over. "Mind if I sit here?" Drath's head snapped up. His 4 red eyes focused on Ryan, and his claws reflexively extended before he pulled them back in. I suppose not. Ryan sat down and unpacked his lunch. A sandwich with turkey, ham, cheese, lettuce, tomato, and pepper sauce. An apple, a bottle of water, a protein bar for later. He took a big bite of the sandwich and made a satisfied sound. Drath watched him eat. The Krillian's mandibles moved slightly, and his translator struggled to render the sound he made. It came out as something between a hiss and a click. Want some? Ryan offered, holding out half his sandwich. It's good. What is it? Drath asked, his voice more cautious than curious. Turkey and ham sandwich. Turkey and ham are both birds. Well, ham is pig, which is a mammal, but same basic idea. Meat. Drath leaned forward slightly, examining the sandwich. You consume multiple animals in one meal? Yeah, is that weird? Oh right, I guess different species have different diets. What do Krillians eat? Synthesized proteins mostly. Our bodies require specific nutrient chains found only in certain organisms. We process them into edible forms. Drath paused. Do you consume the flesh raw? No, it's cooked. You want me to explain cooking? Basically, we apply heat to change the molecular structure and kill bacteria. You mentioned pepper sauce. What is that? Ryan picked up the bottle and showed it to him. It's made from peppers. They contain capsaicin, which creates a burning sensation. Humans like it. You eat something that burns? Well, it doesn't actually burn. It just tricks the pain receptors into thinking it does. Makes food taste better. Drath was quiet for a moment. His claws kept extending and retracting in a rhythm that reminded Ryan of someone nervously tapping their fingers. Your species purposely triggers pain responses for enjoyment? I guess. Never thought about it like that. Ryan took another bite, the hot sauce making his eyes water slightly. He smiled through it. Drath stood up suddenly, grabbing his bowl. I just remembered I have to prepare for tomorrow's assignment. Excuse me. The Krillian walked away quickly, his heavy footsteps echoing through the dining hall. Ryan watched him go, confused. Had he said something offensive? Nora floated over a moment later, her crystalline body chiming softly. That was interesting. What was? He's afraid of you. Ryan almost choked on his sandwich. What? No way. He's a Krillian warrior. I'm just a student. Exactly my point. Nora settled into a chair that adjusted for her unique physiology. Have you noticed his behavior patterns? Avoidance, distance maintenance, threat assessment. These are classic fear responses. But that doesn't make sense. Why would he be afraid of me? Did you not pay attention during Professor Aldrin's lecture? Humans are apex predators from a death world. You might as well be wearing a sign that says danger. Ryan thought about this. He had always known humans were unusual by galactic standards, but he never considered himself frightening. He was 5'10", weighed 170 pounds, and his most dangerous skill was parallel parking. How could someone like Drath, a literal warrior from a species of conquerors, see him as a threat? That evening, Ryan went to the Academy's library. The vast space held datapads from thousands of worlds, translated into every major galactic language. He found a terminal and searched for information on Krillians. The results were sobering. Krillians were apex predators on their homeworld, which was itself classified as Category 8 for danger. They had no natural predators. Their exoskeletons could withstand small arms fire. Their claws could pierce starship hulls. They could survive in vacuum for short periods. They could see in multiple spectrums of light. Their reaction time was 3 times faster than the average humanoid. They had fought in 63 major conflicts across the galaxy. They won 61 of them. The 2 they lost were only because they were outnumbered 1,000 to 1. Ryan sat back, processing this. If Krillians were that powerful, what did they know about humans that scared them? He changed his search terms. Instead of looking up information about other species, he looked up what other species knew about humans. What he found shocked him. Earth was designated as an extreme hazard world. Human beings were classified as Category 7 deathworlders. There were warnings in the database. Actual warnings: humans are persistent apex predators. Do not attempt to flee, as this triggers pursuit instinct. Do not show weakness, as this signals prey status. Maintain calm and avoid direct confrontation. Humans can track prey across continents and through extreme conditions. Endurance capacity exceeds all known species. Pain tolerance suggests either advanced evolution or genetic abnormality. Recommended approach: extreme caution. Ryan read it twice, then a third time. This was how aliens saw his species? As something to be cautious about? He dug deeper. There were incident reports. A human trader who walked through a radiation zone to deliver medicine, the radiation dose enough to kill most species twice over. The human was hospitalized but survived. A human diplomat who got into a physical altercation with a Gorthian honor guard, a species bred specifically for combat. The human won. A human explorer who fell into a freezing ocean on an ice world and swam to shore, then walked 5 miles to the nearest settlement. The exposure should have been fatal. The human complained about being cold. The pattern was clear. Humans did not survive things. They endured them. They kept going when any reasonable species would have stopped. They healed from injuries that should have been permanent. They adapted to environments that should have killed them. Ryan looked at his hands. Normal hands, 5 fingers, opposable thumbs. He had used these hands to write essays, play video games, cook dinner. He never thought of them as weapons. But with proper training, these hands could break bones, tear flesh, grip with enough force to crush. And humans trained their whole lives in combat sports, martial arts, self-defense. He thought about his body. Normal body, 2 legs, 2 arms, 1 head. But this body could run marathons, climb mountains, swim across channels. This body could survive on minimal food and water for days. This body could withstand temperature swings that would put most aliens into shock. He was still processing this when Pip found him an hour later. "There you are," Pip said. "I've been looking everywhere." "What are you doing?" "Research," Ryan said quietly. "Pip, am I scary?" The Tavarian's ears flattened. "What kind of question is that?" "An honest one. Do I scare you?" Pip was quiet for a long moment. "When we first met, yes. The Academy warned us about humans before you arrived. They said you were from a deathworld, and we should be respectful but cautious. I had nightmares about it. And now? Now you're my friend and roommate. You help me with my homework. You share your food even when it's not required. You tell jokes that don't translate well, but I laugh anyway." Pip smiled. "But Ryan, if I saw you in the wild and did not know you, I would run." Ryan nodded slowly. He was beginning to understand. It was not about who he was. It was about what he was. And what he was, from a galactic perspective, was a predator that chose not to hunt. Back in their dorm room that night, Ryan lay in bed thinking. Somewhere on this station, Drath was probably doing the same thing. 2 predators from different worlds, both trying to be something other than what evolution made them. Ryan wondered if they were really that different after all. The observation deck was empty at midnight. Ryan found Drath standing by the large windows, staring out at the stars. The Krillian's reflection in the glass looked less threatening somehow, more thoughtful. Ryan almost turned around and left, not wanting to intrude, but Drath's voice stopped him. "You may enter. I do not own this space." Ryan walked forward until he stood a few feet away from the massive alien. They both looked out at the void in silence for a minute. "Can I ask you something?" Ryan said. "You may ask." "I may not answer. Why do you keep avoiding me? Did I do something wrong?" Drath's mandibles clicked several times. His translator rendered it as a sigh. "You have done nothing wrong. That is perhaps the issue." "I don't understand." "Of course you do not. Your species is new to the galaxy. You do not yet know what you are." Drath turned to face Ryan fully. In the dim light, his red eyes glowed softer. "Do you know why I came to this academy?" "The professor said you claimed student sanctuary." "Yes, but do you know what I was before?" "I was commander of the 7th Assault Fleet. I led raids on 17 worlds. I personally killed 243 beings in combat. I was decorated by the Warrior Council 5 times. I was everything a Krillian should be." Ryan listened, not interrupting. "Then one day, during a raid on a civilian transport, I watched a mother try to shield her children from my soldiers. She knew she would die. She knew her children would die. But she tried anyway. And I realized something that changed everything. I realized I was tired of killing. Tired of seeing fear in every eye that looked at me. Tired of being a monster." "You're not a monster," Ryan said quietly. Drath's laugh sounded like rocks grinding together. "That is kind of you, but false. I am precisely a monster by most galactic standards. My species built an empire on fear and violence. We are apex predators who never learned to be anything else." He paused, until I tried to learn. "When I refused my next assignment, the Warrior Council declared me a deserter. The penalty for desertion is death. So I fled here to the one place where galactic law could protect me. That was brave. No, it was desperate. Bravery is charging into battle. What I did was run away from it. Drath turned back to the window. And then you arrived. What do I have to do with any of this? Everything. Drath's claws scraped against the metal railing. Do you know what I see when I look at you, Ryan Webb? Ryan shook his head. I see a predator. A true apex predator. Not because you were trained to be one, but because you evolved to be one. Your species climbed to the top of the food chain on a death world where everything was trying to kill you. You did not develop armor or claws or venom. You developed endurance, persistence, the ability to simply not stop until your prey collapsed from exhaustion. But I've never hunted anything. I buy my food from the cafeteria. That does not matter. The instinct is there. The capability is there. Your body is a weapon that you carry with you always, and you do not even realize it. Drath's voice was almost sad, and the most terrifying part is that you choose not to use it. Ryan was quiet for a moment. You're afraid of me because I don't hunt. I am cautious of you because you could hunt but choose not to. That implies control, discipline, intelligence beyond base instinct. A mindless predator is predictable. A thinking predator is dangerous. But you're also a thinking predator. You chose to stop fighting. Yes, and look where it got me. Exiled from my own people, hunted by my former brothers, hiding behind the protection of education law. Drath's shoulders slumped slightly. I am a failure by Krillian standards. Maybe Krillian standards are wrong. Drath looked at him sharply. What? I mean, if the standard says you have to keep killing even when you don't want to, maybe the standard is the problem, not you. Ryan chose his words carefully. On Earth we have lots of predators. Bears, wolves, lions. They hunt because they need to eat. But humans? We figured out farming and domestication thousands of years ago. We don't have to hunt anymore, but we still can if we need to. The ability is still there. We just found better ways to use our energy. Your planet sounds more civilized than mine. I wouldn't say that. We've fought plenty of wars. Hurt each other in terrible ways. We're not perfect. Ryan smiled slightly. But we're trying to be better. That's what counts, right? Not what you were, but what you're trying to become. Drath was quiet for a long time. You are wiser than your years suggest. I just think everybody deserves a chance to change. Even monsters. Especially monsters. Because if monsters can change, that means any of us can. They stood in silence for a while longer, watching stars drift past the observation window. Finally, Drath spoke again. I apologize for avoiding you. It was not fear, not exactly. It was respect. In Krillian culture, when two apex predators meet, they maintain distance unless they intend to challenge each other. By staying away, I was acknowledging your status without threatening confrontation. Well, I'm not challenging you. I don't even know how. That, Drath said, is precisely what makes you dangerous. Before Ryan could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Red emergency lights activated, spinning shadows across the observation deck. An automated voice echoed from the speakers. Alert, alert, unauthorized vessels approaching. All students return to dormitories immediately. This is not a drill. Ryan and Drath looked at each other, then ran toward the exit. They made it to the main corridor just as Professor Aldrin rushed past, his fur standing on end. Professor, what's happening? Ryan called out. Krillian warships. 3 of them. They're demanding the station turn over Drath. The professor's voice shook. They've given us 1 hour to comply or they'll attack. Drath stopped moving. His entire body went rigid. The Warrior Council sent them. They found me. Can't the Academy protect you? Ryan asked. You have sanctuary rights. Sanctuary only matters if the station is willing to fight for it. No offense to your council, Professor, but this station has no military capability. We are scholars, not soldiers. Professor Aldrin wrung his hands together. The council is meeting now. I do not know what they will decide. Students were flooding into the corridors, some crying, others shouting questions. Security guards tried to maintain order, but they looked as scared as everyone else. Pip found Ryan in the crowd and grabbed his arm. What's going on? Why are there Krillian warships here? They want Drath. Pip's eyes went wide. They're going to give him to them, aren't they? The council won't risk the station for one student. Drath nodded slowly. It is the logical choice. Better one dies than thousands. That's not fair, Ryan said. You have rights. The law says so. Law only matters when someone is willing to enforce it. Drath looked at Ryan, and for the first time since they met, the Krillian's expression showed genuine emotion. It was resignation. "Thank you for trying to understand me, Ryan Webb. It meant more than you know. Where are you going?" "To turn myself in. If I surrender voluntarily, they might leave the station alone. You can't do that. They'll kill you. Yes, but perhaps my death can be useful. Perhaps it will teach the Warrior Council that there are other ways to be strong." Drath began walking toward the docking bay. Several security guards fell in around him, not as escorts but as a nervous honor guard. Ryan watched him go, his mind racing. This was wrong. Everything about it was wrong. Drath had come here seeking knowledge and peace, and he was going to die for it. The galaxy's most feared predator was going to be executed for trying to be something better, and nobody was going to stop it. Ryan thought about what Drath had said, about being a predator who chose not to hunt, about having the ability but choosing not to use it. His whole life, Ryan had been gentle, kind, non-violent. Those were good things. His parents had raised him to believe that strength meant protecting others, not hurting them. But what good was strength if you never used it? What good was being powerful if you let injustice happen right in front of you? Pip tugged on his sleeve. "Ryan, we should go back to our room." "It's not safe here." Ryan pulled his arm free. "Go ahead." "I need to do something." "What? What can you possibly do?" Ryan did not answer. He was already running toward the council chambers, his mind forming a plan. It was probably a stupid plan. It might get him killed. But Drath had tried to change, and that deserved to be protected. If the galaxy wanted to see what humans were really capable of, Ryan was about to show them, not through violence, through something much more dangerous. Compassion backed by absolute conviction. The council chamber doors were sealed, but Ryan pounded on them until a security guard opened them a crack. "Student, you should not be here. Return to your dormitory. I need to speak to the council. It's about Drath. The council is in emergency session. They cannot be disturbed." "Then disturb them anyway." Ryan pushed forward. The guard, a thin Quellan barely larger than Ryan, tried to block him but hesitated. Ryan saw the calculation in the guard's eyes. Category 7 deathworlder. Extreme caution recommended. The guard stepped aside. Inside, the council sat around a circular table. There were representatives from 12 species, all of them looking exhausted and stressed. Director Halos, an elderly silicate whose crystalline body had dulled with age, stood at the center. "Mr. Webb, this is highly inappropriate. I know, and I apologize. But I need 3 minutes, please." Director Halos sighed, a sound like wind through a canyon. "Very well. 3 minutes." Ryan stepped forward. His heart was pounding, but he kept his voice steady. "You're planning to surrender Drath to the Krillian warships. We have no choice. They have given us 1 hour. They have enough firepower to destroy this entire station. We have 40,000 students and staff here. We cannot risk all their lives for one individual, regardless of how much we sympathize with his situation. What if you didn't have to choose? What if there was another way?" "There is no other way. We have no military vessels. We have no weapons capable of fighting 3 Krillian warships. The nearest galactic defense fleet is 6 days away. In 1 hour, those ships will fire on us unless we comply. Then let me go instead." The chamber went silent. Every council member stared at Ryan. "Excuse me?" Director Halos said. "Drath claimed student sanctuary under galactic education law. That law allows for champions, right? Someone to fight on behalf of a student who is threatened? That provision is for academic challenges and legal disputes, not military confrontations. But it exists. It's part of the law." Ryan had spent 30 minutes in the library researching every detail of sanctuary rights before coming here. Article 7, Section 12. Any student granted sanctuary may name champions to represent them in matters of honor, legal dispute, or existential threat. The challenging party must accept champions or withdraw their challenge. Another council member, a Gorthian named Bex, leaned forward. "Even if that were applicable here, and I emphasize if, why would the Krillians accept a human student as a champion? They want Drath specifically, because Krillians follow their honor code religiously. If Drath names me his champion and invokes the ritual challenge clause, they have to accept or lose honor. And Krillians would rather die than lose honor." Director Halos's body flickered. "You have done your research. But Mr. Webb, do you understand what you are proposing? A ritual challenge means combat. Physical combat. You would be fighting trained Krillian warriors. I know. You would likely die. I know that too. Then why would you do this? Ryan thought about the question. Why was he doing this? He barely knew Drath. They had spoken maybe 3 times. By all logic, he should stay in his dorm room and let the council make their decision. It was not his problem, but it was his problem. Because Drath had tried to change and the galaxy was about to kill him for it. Because sometimes the right thing was also the hard thing. Because if no one stood up for people trying to be better, then what hope was there for anyone? Because it's right, Ryan said simply. Drath came here seeking peace. He turned away from violence. And if we let him die for that choice, then we're saying violence is the only answer. I don't believe that. I can't believe that. Bex made a rumbling sound. Noble sentiment. But nobility does not stop claws or deflect blades. You are one human student against Krillian warriors. You have no chance. Maybe. But I have to try. Director Halos was quiet for a long moment. If we allow this and you lose, the Krillians may still attack the station. We gain nothing. If I win, Drath stays. Student sanctuary is maintained. The law is upheld. And if you die, Ryan smiled, though it did not reach his eyes, then at least someone tried. That's more than most people can say. The council members looked at each other. Finally, Director Halos spoke. I will contact the Krillian command ship. I cannot promise they will accept, but I will make the offer. 20 minutes later, Ryan stood in the docking bay with Drath. The Krillian looked down at him, his 4 eyes wide. What have you done? Invoked champion rights. If they accept, I fight on your behalf. Ryan, they will kill you. Probably. But maybe not. Humans are pretty stubborn. This is not a game. Krillian warriors train from birth. They are faster, stronger, more experienced than you can imagine. Even I would struggle against them, and I was a commander. I know. But somebody has to stand up for you. Might as well be me. Why? Why would you risk your life for me? We barely know each other. Ryan considered this. Because you deserve a chance to be who you want to be. Because you tried to change and that took courage. Because if we don't protect people who choose peace, then we're saying peace is weakness. And I don't believe that. Drath made a sound that his translator could not render. His claws retracted fully and he placed one massive hand on Ryan's shoulder. It was the first time he had touched Ryan and his hand was surprisingly gentle. You honor me, human. More than you know. A communication screen activated nearby. Director Halos's face appeared. Mr. Webb, the Krillians have responded. They accept your challenge under ritual combat law. However, there are conditions. What conditions? The combat will take place in the station's arena. No weapons beyond natural abilities. The fight continues until surrender or incapacitation. Death is not required but is permitted. Halos paused. Their champion is Captain Varn. He is their battle leader. He has never lost a ritual combat. When? 1 hour. They are sending a shuttle to deliver their warriors to the station. Ryan nodded. I'll be ready. The communication ended. Drath looked at him seriously. You will not be ready. 1 hour is not enough time to prepare for this. Then I'll do it unprepared. Ryan tried to sound confident, but his hands were shaking. Now that the reality was setting in, fear crept through him. He was about to fight alien warriors who could tear him apart. What was he thinking? But then he looked at Drath, the massive Krillian who had walked away from violence, who had given up everything to seek knowledge instead of conquest, who was going to die because he tried to be better. No, this was right. Terrifying, possibly fatal, but right. Pip arrived with Nora and several other students. They had heard what Ryan was doing. Pip's ears were flat against his head and he looked close to tears. You're insane. You know that, right? Yeah, probably. You're going to die. Maybe. Then why are you doing this? Ryan thought about Earth. About humanity's long history of fighting for lost causes. About people who stood up when everyone else sat down. About the idea that sometimes you had to take a stand, even when the odds were impossible. Because someone has to. And right now that someone is me. Nora chimed softly. If you survive, you will have done something incredible. If you die, you will have died for something meaningful. Either way, we will remember you. Thanks, I think. Professor Aldrin arrived next, his fur rippling with agitation. Ryan, the council has arranged for medical staff to stand by. They will do everything possible to keep you alive. That's comforting. I also want you to know that what you are doing is extraordinarily brave and extraordinarily foolish in equal measure. That sounds about right. The professor handed him a data pad. I took the liberty of downloading every file we have on Krillian physiology and combat techniques. You have 50 minutes to learn what you can. Ryan took the data pad. 50 minutes to learn how to fight trained warriors. Impossible, but he would try anyway. Drath knelt down, bringing his massive head level with Ryan's. Listen carefully. Krillians are faster than you, stronger than you. Their armor will protect them from most strikes. You cannot beat them with strength. Then how do I beat them? You do not. But you can survive. And survival is its own form of victory. Drath's eyes glowed dimly. Use your endurance. Make them chase you. Tire them out. Humans are persistence predators. Turn the arena into a hunting ground and make them the prey. Ryan nodded, trying to absorb every word. And Ryan, thank you. Whatever happens in that arena, thank you for trying. You are braver than most warriors I have known. Ryan managed a weak smile. Save your thanks until after. I might surprise you. Drath's mandibles moved in what might have been a smile. I believe you might. 50 minutes later, Ryan walked toward the arena. Every step felt heavy. He was about to do something either incredibly heroic or incredibly stupid. Possibly both, but he was going to do it anyway because that was what humans did. They tried even when trying seemed impossible. The arena had been built for sporting events and academic demonstrations, not ritual combat. But it would serve. The oval floor stretched 100 meters across, with stadium seating rising in tiers around it. Every seat was filled. Word had spread through the station faster than light. Students, professors, staff, even maintenance workers had come to witness the impossible. A human was going to fight Krillian warriors. Ryan stood in the preparation chamber, trying to control his breathing. His heart hammered in his chest. His palms were sweaty. Every survival instinct in his body was screaming at him to run. But he stayed put. The door opened and Drath entered. The Krillian had to duck to fit through the frame. The Krillian shuttle has docked. Captain Varn and his warriors are entering the arena now. How many? 5 warriors, including Varn. Ryan felt his stomach drop. I have to fight 5 of them? No, Varn will choose how many fight at once. Likely all 5. They want this over quickly. That's comforting. Drath moved closer. Ryan, you can still back out. No one would think less of you. I would think less of me. Then remember what I said. Use your endurance. Make distance. Survive as long as you can. Every second you last is a small victory. Ryan nodded. His mouth was dry. He tried to remember everything he had read in the 50 minutes he had to prepare. Krillian armor was strong but had weak points at the joints. Their reflexes were fast, but they committed fully to attacks. Their eyesight was excellent in multiple spectrums, but their hearing was average. Not that any of this would help much. He was about to fight trained killers with nothing but his body, and whatever moves he could remember from the self-defense classes he took in high school. This was insane. But he had committed, and humans did not back down once they committed. It was genetic. Thousands of years of persistence hunting had wired it into their brains. It's time, Drath said quietly. Ryan walked toward the arena entrance. The roar of the crowd hit him like a physical force as he stepped through the doorway. Thousands of beings from dozens of species all watching him. Most looked terrified for him. Some looked curious. A few looked like they were already mourning. On the opposite side of the arena, 5 Krillian warriors entered. They moved in perfect synchronization, their armor gleaming under the bright lights. Captain Varn stood at their center, and he was massive even by Krillian standards. He had to be close to 9 feet tall. His armor was decorated with symbols that probably meant something impressive and terrifying. Director Halos's voice echoed through the arena. Under the ancient laws of ritual combat, we are here to witness a challenge. Ryan Webb, human, stands as champion for Drath, student of this academy. Captain Varn and his chosen warriors represent the Krillian Warrior Council. The combat will continue until surrender or incapacitation. Natural abilities only. No weapons beyond what you were born with. Do both parties accept these terms? Accepted, Varn's voice boomed. His translator made it sound like thunder. Accepted, Ryan said, trying to keep his voice steady. Then let the combat begin. The crowd went silent. Ryan and the Krillian warriors stared at each other across the arena floor. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Varn gestured and all 5 warriors charged. They moved fast. Faster than Ryan expected, even after reading about their capabilities. They closed the distance in seconds, their claws extended, their bodies low and predatory. Ryan's instinct was to freeze, but he forced himself to move. He ran. Not away from them, but at an angle, using the circular arena to his advantage. The warriors adjusted their trajectory, But Ryan was already changing direction again. He remembered what Drath said. Endurance. Make them work for it. The first warrior reached him, claws slashing. Ryan ducked under the strike barely. He felt the air move above his head. Training took over. Muscle memory from those self-defense classes. He grabbed the warrior's extended arm and used the momentum to throw him off balance. The Krillian stumbled but did not fall. The second warrior came from the left. Ryan dodged right, then immediately rolled forward as a third warrior tried to grab him from behind. He came up running again, his breath coming hard now but controlled. The crowd was roaring. Ryan could not make out individual voices, just a wall of sound. He focused on the warriors, watching their movements, learning their patterns. They were coordinated but predictable. They expected him to fight back or try to defend. They did not expect him to keep moving. Varn hung back, watching, studying. Ryan realized the captain was letting his warriors soften Ryan up first. Smart. Conserve energy while the prey exhausts itself. But Ryan had been running for 2 minutes now, and he was not even close to exhausted. 2 minutes was nothing. He could run for hours if he had to. His body was built for it, evolved for it over hundreds of thousands of years of chasing prey across African plains. The warriors were breathing harder now. Their attacks came slightly slower, not by much but enough that Ryan noticed. They were not used to prey that did not tire. On their homeworld, everything exhausted quickly in the higher gravity and thinner atmosphere. But Ryan came from Earth, where gravity was stronger and oxygen was plentiful. His body was built for endurance that these warriors could not match. He saw an opening. One warrior overextended, his claws digging furrows in the arena floor. Ryan moved in close, inside the reach of those dangerous claws. He struck at the joint where the armor plates met at the elbow, a pressure point he had read about. The warrior's arm went limp momentarily, and Ryan swept his legs, using the warrior's own weight against him. The Krillian crashed down. The crowd erupted. Ryan had just knocked down a Krillian warrior, but there was no time to celebrate. The other 3 were on him immediately. A claw caught his shoulder, tearing through his shirt and leaving a bloody gash. Pain exploded across his back. Ryan rolled with the strike, using the momentum to create distance. His shoulder burned, but he could still move. Pain was information. It told him he was injured but not incapacitated. Humans had remarkable pain tolerance. Had to, when evolution kept throwing predators at them. He pushed the pain aside and kept moving. 5 minutes now. The warriors were definitely slowing. Their coordination was sloppy. They were getting frustrated, making mistakes. Meanwhile, Ryan's breathing was steady. His legs were strong. His mind was clear. This was persistence hunting. Not chasing prey until it collapsed, but surviving predators until they exhausted themselves. Varn finally stepped forward. Enough. The 4 warriors backed off immediately, returning to their captain's side. The one Ryan had knocked down climbed to his feet, clearly embarrassed. Varn studied Ryan with all 4 eyes. You are faster than expected, more durable, but you cannot win. You have drawn blood on one of my warriors, which is impressive, but I am not my warriors. I am their commander for a reason. Then come find out what I can do, Ryan said. He was breathing hard now, but not gasping. His shoulder hurt, but the bleeding was already slowing. Human clotting factors faster than most species. Varn removed his ceremonial armor pieces, keeping only the base protective layer. He flexed his claws, each one longer than Ryan's fingers. Then he charged. He was twice as fast as his warriors. His first strike came so quick Ryan barely dodged. The second caught Ryan's side, knocking him back. Pain. More information. Still mobile. Still fighting. Ryan tried the same tactic, staying mobile, wearing Varn down. But Varn was smarter. He cut off angles, herded Ryan into corners, forced him to fight rather than flee. Every time Ryan tried to create distance, Varn was there, faster than seemed possible. A claw caught Ryan's leg and he went down. Varn loomed over him, claws raised for a finishing strike. The crowd gasped. This was it. Ryan had lasted longer than anyone expected, but it was over. Except Ryan was not done. As Varn's claws came down, Ryan rolled toward the Krillian, not away. Got inside his guard, wrapped his arms around Varn's leg and pulled with every ounce of strength he had. Varn, surprised, lost his balance. They both hit the ground. Ryan had read about this in the files. Krillian armor was strong, but their joints were vulnerable, and on the ground their size became a disadvantage. Ryan climbed Varn's body, ignoring the pain as claws raked across his back. found the neck joint where armor plates met, wrapped his arm around it in a chokehold human grip strength, one of the strongest in the known galaxy, developed from millions of years of tool use and climbing. Ryan squeezed, cutting off blood flow to Varn's brain. Not crushing, not killing, just pressure, controlled, precise, Varn thrashed. His strength was incredible. But Ryan held on. 10 seconds, 20, 30. Varn's movements slowed. His claws retracted. His body went slack. Ryan held on 5 seconds more, then released. Rolled away, gasping for breath. Blood covered his shirt from multiple wounds. His body screamed with pain. But he was conscious. He was standing, Varn was not. The arena was silent. Absolutely silent. Then Director Halos's voice echoed through the space. Captain Varn is unconscious. The challenge is complete. Ryan Webb is victorious. The explosion of sound was deafening. The crowd erupted cheering, chanting Ryan's name. But Ryan barely heard it. He was staring at Varn's unconscious form, making sure the captain was still breathing. He was. Good. Medical staff rushed onto the arena floor. Some went to Varn. Others came to Ryan. He waved them off weakly. Check on him first. Make sure he's okay. Across the arena, Drath stood with his hands on the railing, all 4 eyes wide. He looked at Ryan like he was seeing something impossible. Ryan limped over to where Varn's warriors stood. They were staring at him with expressions that might have been shock or respect or fear, probably all 3. Your captain fought well, Ryan said, his voice hoarse. He's a great warrior. One warrior, the one Ryan had knocked down earlier, tilted his head.
You defeated him.
You are the greater warrior. No, I just lasted longer. That's all. But Ryan could see in their eyes that they did not believe him. They saw something else, something that scared them. A predator that chose mercy. That was more terrifying than one that chose violence. Ryan turned and walked toward the exit, leaving behind warriors who had just learned a lesson about humanity. Being strong was easy. Being strong and choosing kindness was something else entirely. Ryan woke up in the medical bay 12 hours later. His body felt like it had been hit by a truck, then backed over for good measure. Every muscle ached. The wounds on his shoulder, side, back, and leg were bandaged and treated with alien medicine that made his skin tingle. Pip was asleep in a chair next to the bed, his long ears drooping. Nora floated nearby, her crystalline body dim in rest mode. Professor Aldrin sat by the window reading on a datapad. When Ryan stirred, the professor looked up. Ah, you are awake. How do you feel? Like I fought 5 alien warriors. Well, that is accurate. Professor Aldrin set down his datapad. You have been unconscious for half a day. The medical staff said your injuries were significant, but not life-threatening. Human healing factors are quite remarkable. You should make a full recovery within a week. Ryan tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Pain shot through his ribs. What happened after? Is Drath okay? Drath is fine. Better than fine, actually. His sanctuary status has been officially confirmed by the Krillian Warrior Council themselves. They sent a formal declaration an hour after the combat ended. Drath is free to remain at the academy as long as he wishes. That's good. Ryan relaxed slightly. And Varn? Captain Varn recovered within minutes of your match. He and his warriors departed the station shortly after. But before they left, Varn requested to speak with the council. He acknowledged you as a worthy opponent and stated that Drath's choice to seek knowledge over violence was not cowardice, but wisdom. It was quite remarkable, actually. I have never seen a Krillian warrior admit to being wrong about anything. Pip stirred and opened his eyes. When he saw Ryan awake, he nearly fell out of his chair. Ryan, you are alive. Barely. You were amazing. You took down 5 trained warriors. You choked out their captain. You are a legend now. Everyone is talking about you. Ryan groaned. I don't want to be a legend. I just wanted to help Drath. Nora chimed to life. Too late for that. The entire galaxy will know about this within days. A human student defeated Krillian warriors in ritual combat. That story will spread to every system in the known universe. Ryan closed his eyes. Great, that's exactly what I need. More attention. The door to the medical bay opened and Drath entered. The massive Krillian had to duck through the doorway as always. He approached Ryan's bed slowly as if unsure of his welcome. May I speak with you? Ryan nodded. Professor Aldrin, Pip, and Nora took the hint and left the room, though Pip looked back reluctantly. Drath stood at the foot of the bed, his 4 red eyes studying Ryan. I have spent the last 12 hours trying to find adequate words to thank you. I have failed. There are no words sufficient for what you did. You don't need to thank me. Yes, I do. You risked your life for me, a relative stranger. You stood against warriors who could have killed you. You endured pain and injury, all for someone you barely knew. That is not something I can dismiss with silence. You would have done the same for me, would I? Drath was quiet for a moment. I would like to think so, but I am not certain. I ran from my people because I was tired of killing. That was self-preservation, not courage. What you did was different. You chose to fight not because you wanted to, but because it was right. That is true courage. Ryan shifted in the bed, trying to find a more comfortable position. I was terrified the entire time. Being afraid and acting anyway is the definition of bravery. Drath moved closer. I have fought in dozens of battles, Ryan Webb. I have faced enemies who would give most beings nightmares. But I have never seen anything as terrifying as what I witnessed in that arena. What do you mean? I watched you fight 5 trained warriors. You should have been overwhelmed in seconds. Instead, you lasted. You adapted. You endured. When most beings would have collapsed from exhaustion, you kept moving. When pain should have incapacitated you, you pushed through it. And when you had Varn beaten, when you could have killed him and claimed absolute victory, you chose mercy. Drath's claws flexed unconsciously. That is what terrifies me. Not your strength or endurance, though both are impressive. What terrifies me is your control. You are a predator who chooses not to hunt, a warrior who chooses not to kill. That level of restraint, that discipline, is something most species never achieve. My people certainly have not. Maybe your people just need more teachers like you. Perhaps. Varn certainly seemed to think so. Before he left, he told me that he had never considered that refusing to fight could be harder than fighting. He said watching you show mercy taught him something important. What? That true strength is not about winning. It is about choosing how you use your power. Drath sat down in the chair Pip had vacated. The chair groaned under his weight. I came to this academy because I was tired of being a monster. Now I wonder if I was ever truly a monster, or if I was just behaving the way my society expected. Watching you has made me question everything I thought I knew about strength and courage. Ryan was quiet for a moment. You know, on Earth we have lots of stories about monsters. Dragons, vampires, demons. But the scariest monsters are always the ones that look normal. The ones who could be your neighbor or friend but choose to hurt people anyway. You were never a monster, Drath. You were a soldier following orders. There's a difference, is there? I still killed. I still caused suffering, yeah, and you stopped. You chose to change. That's more than most people ever do. Ryan looked at Drath seriously. You can't change the past. None of us can. But you can choose what you do next. And you chose to come here to learn to be something different. That counts for something. Drath was silent for a long time. Finally, he spoke, his voice softer than Ryan had ever heard it. You are wise for your age, Ryan Webb. I am honored to call you my friend. Same here. Over the next few days, things slowly returned to normal. Ryan's injuries healed faster than the medical staff expected. Another benefit of human biology. Students stopped staring at him quite so obviously, though he still got pointed looks in the hallways. The story of the fight had indeed spread across the galaxy, and Ryan received messages from dozens of worlds. Some congratulatory, some asking for interviews, some just expressing disbelief. He ignored most of them. What mattered was that Drath could stay, could learn, could become whatever he wanted to be instead of what his society had demanded. On Ryan's first day back in xenobiology class, he arrived to find the room arranged differently. Someone had moved the desks. Now instead of Drath sitting in the far back corner away from everyone, his desk was right next to Ryan's in the 3rd row. Drath was already seated. When Ryan approached, the Krillian looked up and made a sound that the translator rendered as a laugh. I hope you do not mind. I thought it was time I stopped avoiding you. I don't mind at all. Ryan sat down. Around them, other students were taking their seats. Pip bounced into his usual spot and Nora floated over. Even the Gorthian students who used to sit as far from Drath as possible were now sitting closer. Professor Aldrin entered and called the class to order. Today we will be discussing symbiotic relationships between different species, how organisms that seem fundamentally different can work together for mutual benefit. As the professor launched into his lecture, Ryan glanced over at Drath. The massive Krillian was taking notes. his claws carefully manipulating the stylus on his datapad. He looked focused and peaceful, not at all like the terrifying warrior everyone had feared weeks ago. Drath noticed Ryan looking and tilted his head in a questioning gesture. Ryan just smiled and turned back to his own notes. After class, as students filed out, Varn's message came through on Ryan's communicator. It had taken days for the transmission to arrive from the Krillian fleet, which had jumped to another system. The message was brief. You showed me something I did not know was possible. A predator with honor, a warrior with mercy. I will remember this lesson. Perhaps one day more of my people will learn it too. Until we meet again. Ryan Webb of Earth. Ryan saved the message and headed to the cafeteria with Drath, Pip, and Nora. They had studying to do, assignments to complete, exams to prepare for, normal student things. As they walked through the station's corridors, passing beings from dozens of different worlds, all of them trying to learn and grow and become better, Ryan thought about what the professor had said. Symbiotic relationships, different organisms working together. Maybe that was what the galaxy needed, not warriors or conquerors or even heroes, just people willing to stand up for each other, to see past differences and find common ground, to choose kindness even when it was harder than violence. Drath walked beside him, no longer maintaining careful distance. Pip chattered excitedly about an upcoming exam. Nora made musical sounds that meant she was happy. Around them, life on the station continued. Thousands of students from hundreds of worlds all pursuing the same goal: knowledge, understanding, peace. Ryan had come to the academy to learn about alien life. Instead, he had learned something more important. That being strong meant having the power to destroy, but choosing to protect. That being brave meant being afraid but acting anyway. That being human meant trying to be better, even when better seemed impossible. The galaxy had seen what humans could do when pushed. Now they were learning what humans chose to do when given the option, and that, Ryan thought, was the real story worth telling. Not about a human who fought warriors, about a human who fought for a friend. Somewhere on Earth, billions of humans were living their lives, unaware that one of their own had just taught the galaxy an important lesson, that apex predators were most dangerous not when they hunted, but when they decided what deserved protecting. And Ryan Webb, 19-year-old student from a death world called Earth, had shown the entire galaxy exactly what humans protected. Not territory, not resources, not power. They protected the right of anyone, even monsters, to choose to be something better, because that was what humanity did best. They gave everyone a second chance, even species that had never given second chances to anyone else. And maybe, just maybe, that would change everything.